I was in probably one of the times of the best shape of my life when I went to the police academy. Once I got in law enforcement and out on the road, I kind of started to slow all of that down. Once I realized I needed to keep myself in shape, and I was trying to do everything as hard as I could and as fast as I could to shred all of the weight that I had. To me, I just felt like I didn't have time. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know the proper techniques on things with everything. But the biggest thing is I found that I can be slow in my process. That really has helped. So that first phone call was definitely what really slowed me down. We're going to do this and we're going to hit these small goals. I love the fact that I lost 12 pounds, but that was the goal starting and it wasn't the goal ending. So basically just showing up more present, being there for my kids, and being able to not mentally feel drained like I was prior to training. And then this has just completely taken a whole different turn for me.
What is up, friends? Welcome back to the Cool and Live Balanced podcast. I am super excited. I have a special guest here for you guys today. We actually went to school together. I think we became friends, in first grade? Was it kindergarten or first grade?
Well, I started Taze Valley in actually my third grade year.
Yep.
So
we became friends in third grade. You
grade.
actually won the scholarship for Be Cool just a couple months ago. Funny thing is I read through all the scholarship applications without any names on them. So when I went through, I realized it was you. I was like, what are the odds? What are the chances? But Taylor is a mom of 3. She is very hardworking, very driven, and I am excited for you guys to hear her story. I'm going to let her share a little bit about her and tell us her story and her words.
So again, I'm a mom of 3. I have my 11-year-old, my 4-year-old, and my 1-year-old. My life has basically been based on them and everything that I've needed to do for them, as well as bettering myself. When he was young, I sent myself through the police academy and went through all of those ropes so I could have or build the life that I needed to build for my babies. I'm married. We just bought our new house. We're finally getting settled. It's great. I mean, that's my life in a wrap
today. He's joining us on the podcast. So if you guys are watching this on video, you'll see him. Maybe you'll chime in here and there, right? Yeah, maybe. Perfect. Yeah, there we go. Well, before we dive into really kind of talking about your journey in this process over the last, 4 months, I wanted to kind of dive into where you were before we got started, right? Physically, mentally, and emotionally. I think there were some very significant things that you had shared. Obviously, that really stood out to me when I was reading through the scholarship applications that I want other moms to hear as well.
Yeah, so basically, I was in probably one of the times of the best shape of my life when I went to the police academy. I had seen a different personal trainer at that time. Got into the police academy. I was working out 3, 4, 5 times a week. That was kind of what started my fitness. I'd never really been involved in fitness prior to that. Didn't really think it was important. I felt like I was already pretty fit. Even after having my oldest, I was pretty fit. And then once I got in law enforcement and out on the road, I kind of started to slow all of that down. And then once I realized I needed to keep myself in shape, I was doing things at home, trying to do whatever I could in my off time, watching YouTube videos, and I did things well. But when I was doing it, it was I have to do everything at one time. I have to focus on my sleep, my nutrition, my exercises, and I was trying to do everything as hard as I could and as fast as I could to shred all of the weight that I had, as well as just we got to go and we got to go now. So I got burnt out on that very, very quickly. And then by that time I got pregnant with my 4-year-old. I gained quite a bit of weight didn't work out. Sleeping habits were terrible. Eating habits were terrible. Everything went, to pure crap. And then got pregnant with my 1-year-old. And in the mix of this, like in between my 4-year-old, there was a couple times, or between my 4-year-old and my 1-year-old, there was a couple times where I had tried different programs. And again, it was like, go hard, go fast, do it all at one time. And it didn't stick. It couldn't stick with my schedule just because I felt like I was constantly overloaded with everything that I was trying to do. So then after my 1-year-old, I had tried a couple workouts at home. I did some here and there, nothing too like constant. And then I had 1-year giveaway. So that really opened up a lot of doors for me. With your experience, I know we'll get into all of that, but the biggest thing is I found that I can be slow in my process, and that really has helped. It's actually something I even took into my husband. We were talking the other day, and he's like, I'm tired of like waking up and feeling sore and stuff. And I was like, how about we start stretching at night? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, listen, like if we can lay in bed for 5, 10, 15 minutes talking or on our phones, like we can absolutely start doing some small stretches, at least a couple nights a week. I was like, and then we can just see if you have any like improvement in your body. And if you do, we can like start incorporating more. So I'm trying to put that into my life as well.
We have a date battle.
He's like, nah, I don't want to.
Oh, it hurts. I need a massage. I'm like, how about Lisa try stretching? I don't know. It's like kind of like I do this for a living. I can easily give you 2 stretches to do for 5 minutes, a couple times every night. No, we haven't got that far.
Right.
Yeah, we've done like twice.
It's not hard. We did one a couple nights ago, so one's better than none, and I'm gonna see if I can just do some more tonight.
3 or 4 minutes. We'll see. Great, a couple times a week, just like with any habit. Better than nothing.
Yeah, it's a start.
What would you say through all the phases? I guess more so too, when you applied for the scholarship and the giveaway, what do you feel like you were struggling with the most at that time?
I mean, honestly, everything. Because to me, I just felt like I didn't have time. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know like the proper techniques on things, like with everything. Because I know like with you, we started very low goals and then we had hit those goals. Like before, I just would have been like, no, I need to drink 100 gallons of water a day. And I wouldn't hit that goal because it was way too high from what I was used to. Like, honestly, I was struggling.
Yeah, every area.
In every aspect.
It's very much all or nothing mindset a lot of times, right? We as humans are really good at wanting to go like 0 to 100, right? We like want those. I always say that we want microwave results in a crock pot world, and it just doesn't happen that way. But like it's really hard to shift our mindset from that, oh, I want to do this, I can do this, I'll get faster results if I just do all of these things. But it's like, are those maintainable? Are they sustainable? Or am I just going to burn myself out? Do you feel like there was anything that you were like nervous about or hesitant about when it comes to coaching or training or anything like that?
Nervous just a little bit because I mean, everybody has like their own ways of training. At least with the few coaches that I have talked to or I have worked with, some are like more not driven like in, they don't want to work, but like hardcore, like we're going to focus on, just cardio, or we're going to focus on this. Like everybody has their own baseline that they go by. So I was just worried about like what type of coaching I was really going to get. I was worried that I wasn't going to be consistent. I was worried that, I would just get burnout easily and then just give up on the program. Worried about not having time or finding time. And then honestly, like, throughout my journey, it kind of worked out to where I was able to have time and incorporate time into daily work. So that made it nice because then I didn't have to try to find time. I had no excuse to push myself to do it.
Towards the beginning, we had talked about before, I don't know if you really did this when we started, but before, when you had worked on these kinds of things, like you'd gone through this and started training, you talked about waking up earlier, which was like what, 3 or 3:30 in the morning, and like working out before getting the kids up.
Yeah, so I already wake up at 3:45, 4 a.m. every morning. And then I was thinking like to try to find time. I like to work out in the afternoons, but then trying to find that time, it's hard. And the mornings would be nice to get myself up and moving and just have that movement really. But if I did that, I would have to wake up at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and that's not feasible. I know there was a couple times where I had tried to do that, and when I would wake up, I'm like, yep, nope, I'm going back to sleep for the next hour. Like, instead of doing this, I should do it. But who wants to wake up that early to get up and work out? Now, if we're talking like I'm going to wake up at 4, 5, 6 maybe, and, get up and start my day, that's fine. But before 4 a.m., that's rough.
I am a morning person, and I am well aware that like most people aren't. And I am a morning person, but people tell me all the time 4 a.m. is not morning. But I'm like, there's something too about like being awake before the rest of the world is awake. It's just that silence, that quiet time that you get.
Yes.
But yeah, no, 2:30 is definitely still, technically it's a.m., but it's still the middle of the night.
And it's still like that point where you're like in one of your deepest sleeps. So I just feel like if I were actually to get up and work out, I don't feel like I would be able to insert my full energy there and be able to do like the best that I can. I feel like I would just be super sluggish and just like, oh, I really have to do like another set. And then probably even just not do the whole set.
Yeah. No, same. I would be the same way as most people would. And I think too, a lot of people, and this is very important for moms to hear as well, is it's not about making your life fit around all of this, right? It's about finding areas and finding spots where we can fit fitness into your life, into your lifestyle, which is exactly what we did with, taking advantage of your opportunity during your workday and using that. And even not every single week was perfect with that by any means, but you had availability and we just found it and we took advantage of it. Right? Even with just like.
Absolutely. And that was the best.
Because it works so much better for you. And then you don't have to only get 4 hours of sleep. Because if you're getting up at 2:30 in the morning, really you should be going to bed by 7 p.m. Right? To get yourself 7.5 hours of sleep. Yeah, as a mom, I don't think that's happening. Unless your kids go to bed at 6 p.m.
No. Which would be great. But in our lifestyle, we have baseball and we don't get home until 8:15, 8:30 sometimes. We have life. I mean, honestly, there's some nights where it's nice that we are able to get the kids to sleep a little bit earlier. So like 7:30, 8 o'clock maybe, but there is no way that would work for us.
So another thing too that I wanted to touch on was your goals when you came in. Because this is something that a lot of people struggle with, even just a mindset thing of your goals coming in, but also have they shifted along the way? And are you in a place where like your goals look different now than what they did then?
Yeah, because when I first started the program, again, I was thinking like, I want to lose this weight. I want to get some muscle definition. And it was like, I want to do it all now. And I wasn't focusing on all of the other factors that play into that. Sleep, nutrition, water intake, steps, movement, just the whole 9 yards. So now, instead of looking at the bigger picture, like looking at all of the smaller pieces that fall into place as well. So my goals are, I'm trying to stay consistent to what you've taught me during the program. And like, I've hit this, I'm going to take it up a notch. Just a notch, not a whole lot. So yeah, my goals are definitely, I have a lot more smaller goals than I did.
I think that's
starting.
We talked about this when you started too, and this clicked for me just a couple years ago, right? Or a few years ago when I started really coaching, right before I started my own business, and being that the big picture, it's fine. Right. I think having a bigger goal and knowing what you want for the next 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, 12 months, absolutely matters. And you should set those goals, right? Because that's how you break down and you find the smaller goals, right? And so the real focus becomes like, okay, if I want to lose 20 pounds, right? You lost, what, is 12 pounds, right? In the 12 weeks? Yeah. 12 pounds in 12 weeks. Like,
Yep.
it was, we didn't focus on losing a pound a week. That didn't become our focus. It was like, I want to lose some weight. I want to put on muscle. So we broke that down like, okay, what do we have to do this week? What small steps, action items do we have to do this week in order to get you closer to that goal? And then your focus became, my goal is to strength train this week for three days, 3 times. My goal is to drink 90 ounces of water this week, 5 days a week, right? It became those micro goals. And then when you hit those, you feel a lot more confident versus like every single week is not going to be the same. It's, your body will respond differently. There will be weeks where you don't lose a pound and we get so fixated on that. And then it's like, oh, I did all these things right, but I didn't lose a pound. Where in 2 weeks, you might lose 3 or 4 pounds at one time. It doesn't mean that you're failing. So focusing on those smaller goals allows you to, you know, build more trust in yourself and ultimately reach those end goals. But that's something for so many people that it's much easier said than done sometimes, for sure. But we get so stuck on that end goal that it becomes like we don't even think about the small steps that it takes.
No, I absolutely did not. And this program was a massive eye-opener
like
for that reason.
Moment that kind of everything really started to click for you? Or I guess changes in like your habits, your mindset that made the biggest difference? Do you feel like there was that moment?
Honestly, I think it was probably our first check-in phone call, because that's when you really were like, hey, like, let's do small steps. Let's focus on, you know, this short goal, not this whole, let's do everything now. That's like, I don't know why I mean, I do, because like you said, in this world, and women, we're just like, we got to go now. We got to do this now. Like, everything needs to be done now. So that first phone call was definitely what really like slowed me down, because you took it over and you're like, nope, let's slow down, pump the brakes a little bit. We're going to do this, and we're going to hit these small goals. And each time we hit these small goals, then we'll look into, or each week that we hit the small goals, we'll look into.
And there's some weeks where like, so I tell you straight up from the beginning, I'm like, there are some weeks where I will tell you, hey, you're not doing anything but like surviving, because especially for women, like our natural instinct, like you said, is to take over everything, to do everything, to like fix things. And like, that's just our nature. And we're really good at like, even when things get piled on, beating ourselves up over it. So like, you don't need me to like beat you up as well. You're going to need me to give you grace when you need it, because like, you're probably going to struggle with that part more than anything.
Oh yeah. See, and that's another thing that I was nervous about in the beginning, actually, was, previous coaches, they like, that I have talked to, they were more stern and was like, you need to do this now, and like, you need to eat this, and then this is going to be your meal plan, and you know, all of those things, to where you gave me the flexibility to still eat what I wanted, to still work out the way I needed to, on my terms, in my pay, or on my pace, you know, in my place, which was amazing, because prior to, like I said, the other coaches, I don't want to discredit anybody and how they coach, just that way was not for me. They were more aggressive, like, we're going to do this all in one time, you know. And
I mean, that's coaching, like you said, not discrediting anyone. That's just like their style of coaching, right? And doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. It's just, it's not my style of coaching, like how I approach things. And that works for some people, and some people are super successful, and then they would come to somebody like me and they'd be like, no, which is totally fine, right? But like, for most women, for most of us, like, I've had coaches, I've had trainers, you know, I still have a coach, and having that accountability is crucial, but also having someone who's like, hey, no, like, we're not drilling you into the ground. Like, this is about long-term success, right? Like, how can we set you up for success? And most women, especially moms, they don't need more on their plate. They really just need to slow down and like find efficiency, in what we have and really honestly do less. So, which is like doable, really not doable, obviously.
And you don't think in your brain, like your brain's like, nope, we need to keep going. There's never a, like that I don't know what it is, but there's never that point where it's like, let's just take a slow down. Let's slow down, let's take a step back. No, I don't have that. So you really gave me that, though.
The next question that I was going to have for you, and how has this impacted other areas of your life outside of just like your health and your fitness? Because slowing down is 100. And don't get me wrong, I will say there's always a time and a place to like for grit, for grind, all of those things. And there's a fine line between like giving yourself grace and like making excuses, but most of us push way too hard and we don't give ourselves enough grace. So I want to, because obviously these habits, all of this stuff, it's about more than just weight loss. It's about more than fitness. And I want to know, or I want you to share, I guess, with everybody else, how you feel like this has impacted other areas of your life.
As far as like work life goes, again, I think it has definitely helped me slow things down, because with work, I'm like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. And I need to like do it all right now. So then I would try to like do many projects in one time, and that wasn't working. So I actually started slowing things down. Like, okay, my goal for today or my goal for this week is let's do this. Once this is completed, we'll slow down. We'll do this. And then, we have a good pace here. So then we'll do this. As far as that goes, that definitely has been a change in my career. And as far as home life goes, I mean, I don't really have an answer to like home life is still home life and it's chaos. And I got 3 babies running around. So I think I have learned how to like handle things being thrown at me at one time a little bit differently, which I didn't expect personal training to do that with my life. But I'm able to like kind of take a step back and just breathe a little bit more and, prioritize like, what's the most important thing here? How do I get this done? How do we get all these things done? Let's take care of this first, rather than worrying about something that doesn't matter, or not that it doesn't matter, but that has less priority. So yeah, I mean, that's really the biggest thing with home life.
Or something that, or way to put it, I guess, in words, or like think about it when it comes to, because you said, I didn't expect training to help me with that. It's like stress management, right? Which is one of the things that we worked on, but all of these habits, we're being proactive, right? Versus reactive. So when you think about it, if we are being proactive consistently, when these stressful situations arise, it's not that the goal isn't to like never have stressful situations, because one, that's never going to happen. It's also 2025. So like good luck with that. But also when they do arise, something that would, cause us to panic or like freak out and like, oh my gosh, I have to fix this right now. And we feel like it would be like an 8 or 9 out of 10. It's only like a 3 or 4, right? And we're able to like, okay, instead of reacting, I can take a step back. I can breathe because I've been proactive, and now I can just respond versus just a sheer panic. Yeah. And then that carries into over into literally everything else that we do. Well, what would you say some of your
100%.
Or, well, I guess this. Do you feel like there's something that you can do now? And some of this stuff we've talked about, right? A little bit. But one specific thing that you felt like you couldn't do before that you can do now?
Really just trying to find the time to invest in myself. Like we had talked about, the time was the biggest thing. Is I always felt like I didn't have time to do anything for myself. And just finding, I guess, that routine or the way to work it in and around my lifestyle as far as work and life goes. Now I understand, like, regardless of if I feel like I don't have time, I can fit it in somewhere. And that goes with anything, not just working out. that goes with anything. Like, I can, if I want to do something, especially for myself, I can find the time or the place or whatever, even if it's only 5 minutes, if it's 15 minutes, if it's a 30-minute workout, it doesn't matter. I can find that time, and I think we had talked about this, like, in the very beginning. I always felt guilty for trying to take the time, even though my husband is more supportive than anything. And if I said, hey, I want to go work out for 30, 45 minutes, an hour, couple hours, he'd be like, cool, go ahead. But to me, like, it was a guilt trip. It was not a guilt trip for him, but for me, like, as soon as I would think that, I'm like, no, I can't do that, because then I'm taking time away from my kids. So really, it's that. It's just being able to apply myself where I need to for
We
myself.
grew up in a society, in a world that taught us like self-care is selfish, right? When it's really not. That's how we show up in the best version of ourselves, not only like physically when it comes out in fitness, but literally every area in our work life, in our home lives, in our relationships, our friendships, all of those things. We show up as a different person when we take care of ourselves first, right? You mentioned the mom guilt, and I don't think I've ever worked with a mom who has never had mom guilt. I mean, I'm not a mom, and I like going for walks without my dogs. I used to feel so guilty. And I have so many friends who are like, oh, I don't go on a walk without my dogs. And I'm like, but why? Because, yeah, I would get super frustrated, especially when you might need that reactive dog. I didn't start doing that until I had a reactive dog, and I realized how much stress I was putting on myself, and it was no longer a like de-stressor for me. You know, so I can only imagine leaving 3 children at home and trying to like spend an hour taking care of yourself when it's like, oh, I could be doing all of these things. All you get is this giant list going through your head of all the things that you could be doing with them or for them right now. Right. But at the end of the day, we don't realize a lot of times until we go through it, I think, and experience it and feel the change and feel the difference that, hey, me going to the gym and working out for 30 minutes or, you know, me spending 30 minutes meal prepping to get ahead for the week, to be prepared, that is taking care of them as well. Because I'll be able to spend more quality time with them. I'll show up more energetically. I'll be able to like be more present and all of those things.
That was what I was getting ready to say, to be more present and be more present, like happily, and applying myself for myself has really helped, I think, my marriage, being a mother, in multiple different ways. And then I was like, you know, finally at some point, especially in the beginning of the program, within the first couple of weeks, within one of our phone calls, I think it was maybe the first or second one, I think you even talked to me about, you know, being able to be or show up to be a better person throughout this process. I'm trying to like gather what I'm trying to say. I just completely lost it. It's storming here, so
all the background noise. Yeah.
I'm watching it out my window, and I'm just like watching it come in, so it completely just threw me off. Yeah, so basically just showing up more present, being there for my kids, and being able to like not mentally feel drained like I was prior to training. I'm able to like be more present, and not that I wasn't present, but like emotionally present, because my mental health wasn't in the best state prior to, and then this has just like completely taken a whole different turn for me. It's really showed me like I can be a mom, but I can also focus on myself too. I can be a wife, but I can also focus on myself too. And I think it's very, very, very needed, very much needed for any mother that does not feel like they have the time or feels like it's constant overload because they have 1, 2, 3, 20 babies. I just think it's definitely helped me in my mental space more
And
than
like
I
I said, I don't
expected it
think
to.
most people don't know that. I mean, that was something that I didn't start getting into fitness or start getting into these things because I was like, oh, this will help my mental health. That was something I realized as I started. I think it's more talked about now and more recognized now, but it's also like you don't really know until you know, until you feel it.
Yeah. Until you do it and you go through it, and then you're like, oh, wait, I can take a few minutes for myself. And it does make my mental health more stable. Like it's weird how it works, but I agree with you. I definitely did not picture my mental health changing throughout this
What would you say,
process.
or how do you feel about where you are now? And then what do you feel like is next for you when it comes to your health, when it comes to your life? And that can also, like we're talking about now, pertain to your mental health as well.
I definitely want to continue with everything that you have taught me and to reach small goals or, increase my goals small. And just keep doing the things that we've been doing. Um, Eventually, maybe when the kids get a little bit older, because we just bought our house and we have a small area for workout equipment, but right now with how everything's kind of packed, I don't have access to it as much. So my husband and I have been talking about like turning that corner of the garage into a little workout area for him and I both to start using. I incorporate, yes, but I'm also going to get him using, we have a total body gym. I'm going to get him to start using that and some dumbbells and just start doing some small things. So mainly, for the future is just to get him on board with me. And he's never been one to work out either. He's just not a lifestyle he ever was like really raised in. His mom is on this huge lifestyle or huge like workout lifestyle now to where she's hitting 10,000 steps a day. Actually, she walks like 3 to 5 at the minimum. But I think her maximum is like 10 to 13 miles a day. And she's like succeeded in all of that. But that's new for her. That's something that she has found within the last few years. And I think my husband now getting older with children, he's like, I got to start doing something too. I don't want to feel, like old and crippled by the time I'm 35, which he's well on the way of feeling because he works in construction. So he's constantly hurting. And that's really the biggest goal is to, as of right now, to get that area set up to where we can actually have machines to work out with, not just dumbbells, not just bands,
I love that.
That's what I'm most excited for.
I think
in the near future.
I mean, we in our house, we don't get to every single week, but like one workout a week together is something that's like a goal for us. And it's more so the workout, right? You're making that time for yourself, but you're also doing it together. So it's your opportunity to really show up and like, hey, I'm also pouring into myself. And like, I'm not only doing this for me, but like, when you think about it in a long-term relationship or a marriage, right? Like you want to be your healthiest self for your partner, right? For your kids, for your future grandkids, because most people don't want to miss out on those things. They want to be able to get up and down off the ground and play with the kids. Some people want to be running up and down the soccer fields or football field while the kids are playing and screaming. So like, we got to be able to move. We've got to be healthy to be able to do those things. And that's often, I feel like, very overlooked for so many people. What would you say?
Yes.
Go ahead.
It really is.
I was going to say, what would you say to someone
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
who is where you were before you started?
Slow and steady. And if you think that you don't have the time to start or you don't know where to start, honestly, just start somewhere. Start small. Start focusing on maybe one certain thing specifically. And once you start getting to a good point with that, start raising or it slowly increasing that goal, and then start adding more things on. If you're a mom and you feel like you're overstimulated and you just don't have the time, just make it happen. And I can almost promise you that if you find something that is worth it, especially working out or stretching, start stretching even, anything, honestly, to do with your health, just start applying it slowly. Increase it, and then you will see the difference that it makes within you, around you, all of it. Just take the time. I hate saying take the time because everybody feels like we don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
But find the place and find the time to be able to just start somewhere.
It's making time, right? We all have 24 hours in a day. And I hear so many people all the time, they're like, oh, we all have the same 24 hours. No, we don't have the same 24 hours. We all have 24 hours in a day. But my 24 hours looks very different than your 24 hours. And your husband's, right? Like even your guys' look very different. So it's about making time. And let's be honest, most of us spend at least 30 minutes a day on our phones, and that could be 30 minutes that you just take your kid, like throw your kid in a stroller and go for a walk. It could be 30 minutes that you just do body weight exercises in your living room with your kids. I have a mom, like what we started with for her, we did like 2 days a week, and we literally used the baby. Like we used the baby in her workout. Because she was like, I don't want to lose time with my baby. And I was like, that's awesome. I was like, then let's lay him on the floor and use him in our workouts. You can play with him between sets. I'm like, if you're doing push-ups, like you could be like playing and glute presses and all these things. There are ways to get around this, right? And start pouring into yourself. And obviously that's significantly progressed for her. And she's somebody who's like, no, I take time for myself. She's like, I get to go, like I go to the gym. I get to go to the gym and have 45 minutes to an hour for myself. And I'm like, well, we all got to start somewhere. And it looks different for everybody, right? So it's like,
absolutely,
find what is going to work well. Yeah. I'm not saying it's not going to be trial and error, because there were things that we did and we're like, okay, let's try doing this instead, right? Like, and I think another thing too for people to understand and realize is this wasn't just an easy 12 weeks for you. It wasn't like, oh, our life is so smooth. You guys literally found a house, bought a house, moved. You also sold your old house. Like you had all of the kids' summer sports going on. Mm-hmm. You had so many things going on. You had work. It wasn't just a smooth, easy transition. So it wasn't like, oh, your life was so easy. Of course you lost 12 pounds. Like not only did you lose 12 pounds, you also put on a bunch of muscle at the same time.
No, it wasn't. And I did, absolutely. And I can see the difference. My husband can see the difference. I mean, my family has complimented, how I've looked and stuff. And that's with a minimum of 2 workouts a week, mainly 3 workouts a week. But there was a few weeks where I did hit 4 workouts, but 4 workouts for that week. But 2 to 3 workouts a week. That wasn't taking out any of my favorite food. That wasn't cutting back on anything. That was actually adding more food into my diet. And I remember we had that conversation. I was like, how am I supposed to eat more? Like, I already feel like I eat a lot, and I really didn't. But how am I supposed to eat more? And that was definitely an adjustment, but it helped. The calorie intake helped. The protein intake helped. I mean, it was so many things in one, and it was not easy to do. I didn't hit my water intake every single day. I didn't hit my protein intake every single day. I didn't hit all of my goals every single day, but you taught me that's okay. And you taught me slow is steady, and that's what wins the race. So it really, seeing the weight that I had lost and the muscle strength that I had gained, seeing the muscle definition that I had gained, seeing the pounds, I mean, just the whole 9 yards, seeing everything and knowing that I may not have inserted myself 100% every single day, all day, but I was able to hit my small goals and to increase them. And that's just like the biggest thing. And I know I keep saying it, but I feel like that was so important for me, was learning slow and steady. Slow and steady.
Again, it's one of those things we don't know. So until you actually experience that, someone can tell you 55 times, 100 times. It doesn't mean it's going to stick with you until you experience that. Right? Because I'm sure I wasn't the first person to tell you that. That wasn't the first time you've ever heard it. But it's like until you understand the concept of like, oh, this makes sense. Right? It's just like,
it was like really when I could apply it to my life is when
I would say, I use the example of like, how do you eat an apple? You don't literally shove the entire apple in your mouth. I mean, depending on how hungry you are. But like, I mean, I'll speak for myself. Yeah, I'll figure out this literally. Or you eat it one bite at a time. Right? Like, it's the same thing with anything we do in our life. Like, if you think about it, literally every single thing is one step at a time. Just because you don't see somebody's one step at a time doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. You get to see the start, you get to see the finish.
Right.
It's really hard to like see everybody's in between. What would you say, last question, what would you say the one thing is the one thing that you are the most proud of?
Honestly, how, even though I didn't apply myself 100%, it's just seeing the progress that I made in almost every aspect of my life. Not just as a, fitness portion, but as a mother, like I was able to incorporate a lot of the things that you had taught me into everyday living. And the biggest thing for me was just the mindset shift, because the mindset shift changed my thought process on, again, every aspect. It changed like the way of thinking just for everything, honestly. And that was huge for me, because before, I wouldn't say I was like a one-track mind, but it was hard for me to really, I can't even think of the word. I don't know why I'm blanking.
Because he has that word on tip of her tongue, and then it's just like, oh, wait. And you like get it ahead of your words and ahead of yourself.
Yes. I know. I'm like, wait, I knew where I was going with that, but again, I've lost my process. I know. I don't know why, but it's like I'm not here today. Checked out. The biggest thing that I'm proud of is just being able to, again, have that mind shift or mindset change. I can't freaking say that.
Shift.
Just
set.
Please edit this.
Shift. That is the hard part. I
know. My mind's like, no, we're not saying those words right now. Mindset change. The mindset change is the biggest part for me.
These are the best parts of the podcast when you don't edit stuff out like this. It's like where it's just all of it's raw and real. And I love, like, we talked about, I did an interview with one of my old clients, and we talked about how she, like, one of her first workouts, she literally peed herself at the gym because she just, like, had a baby a few months before that, and she never. Yeah. So, like, one of our biggest winners was like after a couple months she stopped peeing herself and like didn't have that problem anymore. But like, she was like, I can't believe I'm saying this. She's like, we need to edit. I'm like, no, we're not editing.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll leave that in there. Yeah, I know. I definitely get that, because
I would also argue a little bit, because you said I wasn't able to or didn't show up and do 100%. I would argue with that, because I think one of the things that a lot of people don't realize or don't recognize is that there is no perfection, right? But like, you showed up each day, and like your best or your 100% looks, and I use quotations because it looks different every day, right? Like 100% one day may only be what you feel like is 20%, right? But like, that's all that you have to give that day, and that's okay. Right? But like, realizing and recognizing, I don't have to be perfect. And that's kind of what people imagine is 100%, right? Is being able to be perfect every single day. And I think for you, you went through this journey and you showed up like in the ways that you could, in the ways that you were able to, versus being like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, I couldn't do X, Y, Z, and, you know, I'm just going to throw everything out the window. And I think your journey and your process is such a good reflection and a testimony to, for so many people to hear and to understand that if you continue to just show up and do the best that you can in that moment, and that may only be like literally waking up, going to work, eating your food, coming home, and going to bed after taking care of the kids, right? Like that may be literally 100% that day, but you still showed up and you still did it and you felt accomplished and you felt achieved rather than beating yourself up.
Yeah, I'll take that that argument because you're right. I mean, I did show up. I did do some of the things that I wasn't, or that I don't want to say wasn't as important, because it was all very important. But just because I didn't hit the gym doesn't mean I wasn't giving it 100%. So I'll take that. And I appreciate that comment, because I did show up, and that did give me a little bit of
There
a
we go.
mindset
There it
shift.
is. Yes,
I had to
like,
think about things
real slow, and I'm gonna get this right. We're doing it. No, that's great. But well, cool. I'm very proud of you. I'm very excited for you. You crushed. I mean, aside from the fact, like your progress photos, I wish we could like pop that up here, right here. But your progress photos were absolutely phenomenal. You changed so many habits. I would say your mindset shift has been probably your biggest win. And you lost 12 pounds in 12 weeks. Most people will be like, oh, that would be my favorite part. Like, you didn't even talk about that. I brought that up. Like, I had to talk about that to bring it up, because people might be like, oh,
Yeah.
well, like, what was her, progress? But it's like, we focus on these other things. And the weight loss was the product of all of these things, of the mindset shift.
Yeah. It was just basically, I don't want to say like a gift, but it was a bonus. It was definitely a bonus, because I came into it looking for the weight loss, and I left with like, oh, but I did lose these 12 pounds, but here are all of these other things that I was able to gain. So yeah, I'm not focused on the number on the scale. I'm not focused on the number of, it's awesome that I lost 12 pounds. But I'm not focused on the fact that I lost 12 pounds. I'm focused on the fact of how I feel, and just how I feel, the things that I don't do as much or haven't done as much. I notice that difference in how I'm feeling from when I did go through those 12 weeks and I did do those things and hit those goals. I feel, or I understand how it made me feel during that time, and what I haven't done or where I didn't do it prior to.
And I don't think in maybe one of your check-ins, your weekly check-ins, you mentioned something about like the number on the scale. Other than that, like you shared 2 to 3 wins every single week, and they weren't about the weight loss. Like, they weren't, which is huge, especially like you said, for somebody who comes in and like losing weight was a big motivating factor for you to even apply for the giveaway. So I think that's huge. And I think it's very important for people to hear and to understand. Like, honestly, I will say that I think most people's progress and results actually come from when they stop focusing on the number on the scale, because you can truly focus on the things that give you success and almost create fulfillment versus.
That was the other thing too with previous programs, previous trainings and stuff. I was always really focused on the number on the scale. And I told you when I had started this program that I really didn't even want to buy a scale, because I want to lose the weight, but I want to see the difference in like the way I feel, the way I look in progress photos and stuff like that. I didn't want to zone into the number on the scale, because prior to, I would have stuck on that, I would have checked my weight like every day, and I would have been like a stickler on it, because I would have been like, oh, I'm not losing enough weight. I didn't lose a pound. Or, I wouldn't have lost this or whatever. If I know that if I were to have checked my weight more, I would have I could have potentially went down that same path. And that's not what I wanted to do, because throughout this experience, learning all of the things that I was learning, that definitely shifted myself from wanting to know the number on the scale, because I was seeing the differences. I was feeling the I was feeling the differences. So yeah, the weight loss was a huge bonus. I love the fact that I lost 12 pounds, but that was the goal starting, and it wasn't the goal ending. But I'll take
It's
it.
a huge
I'll take
win.
it as a win.
And we love it. No, but well, is there anything else that you want to share with
Yeah.
anyone listening or want them to know?
I just want to take the time to really thank you for applying yourself 100% during the 12 weeks that I'd spent with you, because yes, it was a giveaway. I would love to continue with you at some point. But you have taught me so many different things, and you were very caring. You were very understanding. You were very attentive. Like, you were very much there for me. And I don't think you realized how much you were there for me, and you didn't understand. Just because like the check-ins, the phone calls, the random check-ins throughout the week and stuff, like the random conversations that we would have, like, you were always there. You were always consistent. You were always supportive. I just really can't thank you enough for the opportunity and applying yourself there for me. Like,
And
in
who
the
would
way
have
that you
thought
did.
when we met in elementary school, this is where we'd be?
You're welcome.
No.
I never expected
And
that.
that's what makes it probably the
Never.
best, honestly, is like, I was telling some of the girls on the team, they were like, oh, like, you're already friends with her, like, on social media. Do you know her? I was like, actually, it's really funny. When she moved to my elementary school, I was like, we became friends, and we were close for a few years, and it wasn't anything like we weren't friends. It's just, how as you progress and like you do different sports, you get into different friend groups. So it's crazy to look back and like, wow, we were what, like 8, 9 years old?
See where we came from.
I know.
I was
Like,
staying
we
at
were
your
close,
house.
close. So it's awesome, and it's incredible. And I am so happy that you won the giveaway and you've made such killer progress. And I'm excited to see where your journey continues to go. And I want to thank you for, taking the opportunity to share this, because I can say it as much as, I want to, but for someone, especially moms, to hear it from you and to hear your experience through your own words is so different and is so necessary for them to understand and to be able to relate and to realize that they can do these things too. So I appreciate that. So thank you. Of course.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.